Hello.
Very loud. Hello.
Okay, you said this would be easy.
Hey, Lupe, and welcome to my space. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour around spaces that will make it a lot easier for you. I promise.
Okay.
First of all, Donna, would you like to say hello?
Hi, Lupe. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm excellent. So good to hear from you.
And you too. Sorry, I'm just getting a subway, so I'm driving.
Okay. No worries. We're a little bit informal, but yet formal, Lupe. So I'm going to give you a little tour around my space so that you will understand what we do here a little bit better, make it a little easier for you. So if you look down at the bottom of your screen, of course, the mic on and off button. Next to it is a little wand. If you press on the wand, it's going to bring up the sound effects. That some will play with from time to time. Next to that is a little icon that shows two people. You click on that, it's just going to show you who's in the space. Next to that's a little heart. That's where you can send up emojis when you are liking what somebody's saying, agreeing with them, so on and so forth. And of course, on the far right is a little speech bubble, and that's the chat for this space. So people that may want to ask you a question but don't want a microphone to do that, we'll put it in the chat and then we'll ask you that question. Very easy if you want to leave. The top right button is in red, I believe, on your screen, and you can leave the space at any time. People will come in and out as we do this, and we will also have a lot of replay listeners, which we love to have those replay listeners as well. I see Maddie S and ACP down there in the goo, as we call it, or the audience. And there you go. Welcome, 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 Lupe.
Thank you. I think this is okay. I can do this.
It's very easy. And what'll happen at some point, I'll open the floor up for questions. And if any of our listeners that are in the goo want to come up and ask you a question or give us a comment, they can request a microphone and come up and chat with us, which I love that element because we get to talk to folks here in the spaces from all over the world and maybe would never get to chat with on a daily basis ever. So it's quite a unique experience.
Love it.
So let me get some housekeeping things out of the way real quick. Of course, I want to thank my sponsor, Elevator Results. If you need a tailor-made workout plan to help you lose weight or gain weight, Elevator Results can design that plan. Follow them on Twitter and check out their site at elevatorresultspt.com. Also, a reminder, recordings of my past spaces, including our daily WSOP coverage and all of our interviews, are on my YouTube channel at Sherry Pluskota 9212. Ladies, it's October, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Don't forget to go get those mammograms. Now, I need to introduce our guest properly, as they say. My guest has a long list of accomplishments in the world of poker and should definitely be considered for the Poker Hall of Fame as an industry person. Lupe Soto is the founder of Ladies International Poker Series, otherwise known as LIPS, the founder of the Women's Poker Association, otherwise known as the WPA, founder of the Women's Poker Hall of Fame, founder of Vegas Connected Inc., also the founder of the Senior Poker Tour, and I believe the new owner of Poker Gives, but she'll give us details on that in a minute. Lupe has 4 entries on her Hendon Mop, with her best live cash being $1,365, and her total earnings are listed at $2,996. My guest has been inducted into the Women's Poker Hall of Fame for her efforts over the decades. Lupe is a pioneer in the world of poker and has battled to get women involved by creating opportunities. So I want to thank her again for paving the way so that I and other women reap the benefits. So welcome, Lupe, officially.
Oh, thank you. I can't even believe that you shared my Hendon mob. Now I'm going to go crawl under a rock.
Don't be silly. We always share because we are a poker space, and so everybody wants to know, what's your life on the felt like? And I'm going to just say, Lupe is a mixed game cash player, so she is not a big tournament player. To
Oh,
her defense.
not at all. I don't. I rarely play a tournament, but And that's usually like in a home game.
Right. And I think the one, the very first time I really met you in person was when you were being inducted to the Women's Poker Hall of Fame, and Jan Fisher um, said some words on your behalf, and she talked about um, your lack of a Hendon Mob record, and that you're getting into the Poker Hall of Fame despite your record, so to speak. And of course, as only Jan Fisher can do, she's such a great MC, and her words about you were so fun and so interesting to look at as or listen to as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it was kind of ironic that, of course, I would be getting inducted along with Maria Ho, who had millions of dollars in her hand and mom.
It was what a great afternoon that was. And wasn't it the year Matt Savage got inducted as well, if my memory serves me?
Matt Savage is not in the Poker Hall of Fame.
Oh, he isn't.
No.
Oh, he was an MC that day, wasn't he?
He was our keynote speaker.
Oh, that's what it was. Thank you for
Hmm.
correcting me. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I just remember he was involved that day, and yeah, memories are coming back now. So, all right, let's dive into this because I know you got some things to do tonight as well. So, there's so many things I want to talk about. So let me just get started by saying, can you tell us about the No Rake NAPTA or NAPT Women's Satellite event that's going to be happening October 20th at 3 p.m. and it's $60 at the Resorts World. And I believe it's to satellite into the ladies event. Can you tell us about that?
It is actually one of the things I do want to do is salute Poker Stars. Poker Stars has always been a huge proponent of women in poker, but they actually are one of the few companies that have integrated a policy in their company to where they look at what they can do for women on an annual basis. And for that, I salute them. But
Absolutely.
that's huge, huge. I mean, I know very, very few companies on the planet that do that.
Absolutely. Shout
So,
out to Poker Stars for sure.
yes. And so they, of course, this is the Poker Stars North American Poker Tour, and it's going to be happening here in Las Vegas. And they were like, well, what can we do to really make it a very special event? And I said, well, you've got two things going against you. The first thing is that it's in November. And if we want people to come out and play in November, as you know, December is a huge month here in Las Vegas for poker. And I said, so if you're going to do that, you need to incentivize these gals. Plus, it's a Tuesday, it's one of those odd days of the week.
Right.
So they said, well, how about if we run a satellite and we'll pay all the fees? And I said, what do you mean you'll pay all the fees? They said, yeah, we'll pay for the dealers and all that kind of stuff. And we'll just, everybody who goes are playing just for seats. And I said, now we're talking.
Hell yes. No rake.
Yes. So they are doing that. And it's being held this weekend for anybody who wants to come out and try their hand. It's difficult when it's during the week, and we get it, and it's hard to travel on a Tuesday because it's difficult if you it's hard to make it a super long weekend, right?
Right.
They said, well, if anything else, we want to have this opportunity to see if we can help the women get into the game. And not only are they doing that, they're going to be doing a kind of like a meet and greet at the
Nice.
dinner break,
Nice.
which they did during
The
the
women's event.
tea. Yeah.
Yes, I went to that. And I actually got to meet Carrie Jane because they announced her new appointment um, on their, I guess, I don't know what you would call it, their women's committee, the arm of their.
She's an ambassador for the
Right. Right.
division.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And what a nice function they held for us at the dinner break, like you said, at the WSOP ladies event. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
That was the day that I was locked in a elevator in about 110 degrees in an outdoor elevator, so I didn't make it.
How did I miss this story?
Oh yeah.
How long were you locked in the elevator for?
Had gone there to this company, kind of a weird story, and I'll make it brief, but I had gone to a company to pick up all the materials for the Tournament Directors Association.
All
And
right.
so when I got there, I took the elevator up to the second floor and got out and went in. And the guy goes, "Oh, well, Matt Savage was just here and he picked it all up, but nobody told me." So I was like, "Oh, well, okay, fine." So when I went back out, stepped into the elevator and there were no buttons. So in the time from the time that I had gotten on the elevator and gotten off the elevator, they were in there doing repairs. They removed all the buttons so it wouldn't actuate anything, and I was stuck in it.
Oh my Lanta. Is that not everybody's worst
Yeah.
nightmare?
And after about 20 minutes
Oh,
sitting in a box at 110 degrees outside, it was getting very, very, very unnerving. And I
oh my God.
fortunately heard somebody um, on the outside in the hallway, and I started screaming, and they heard me, and
Thank God.
they pressed the button, and it opened up because there was a button on the outside of the elevator, just not on the inside of the elevator. So it was pretty crazy. So I'm in
Oh
the
my God,
whole
that's
reception.
horrible.
Know, right? It was like I could hear the headlines already. Soto dies in an elevator.
Oh my God, that's horrible. Oh, that is absolutely horrible.
So
Oh,
nuts.
I'm so glad you got out safe and sound, for God's sakes. Oh,
A
yeah,
little
yeah.
wet, a little scared, but everything's good.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move along as I digest that a moment more. Okay, for the last 2 summers, I've co-hosted a daily WSOP space, and this summer, one of our discussions led to me realizing just how little people really know about the organizing of Ladies Week.
Oh,
Some kind of thought that the operators just arbitrarily added a ladies event to their schedules without consulting other operators. Although I set the record straight, can you kind of give us a bird's eye view of what you do to coordinate those events for Ladies Week?
sure. Of course, it's had an evolution. When there was no Ladies Week, it was the Ladies WSOP, and that was it. And so when Lips was born, we merged with the World Series of Poker for their circuit tour. We then were having events all over the place and started qualifying women to come out for the ladies WSOP. But once they got here, that was the only thing they could do. So we held some other events to kind of make it an excursion of a bigger nature. So at the time we would hold the ladies WSOP at the World Series, and then I would do the ancillary events somewhere else. And then and this is what happens. So basically what happens is you wind up working with a property, and then they get successful and they say, "Oh, we can do this without you," and then they let you go. And so
Oh,
you
how
move on.
disappointing.
Yeah. And then you move on to another property and to another property, and it finally got to the point where I was like, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let that go, because that's, if you look at the bigger mission of life, it's about getting women into the game. And that's what it takes for operators to do this, then that's what I do, right?
Right,
So
right.
now um I basically reach out to every operator in Las Vegas who is going to be hosting a series during the summer, and I ask them very politely, with a little bit of strength behind it. Hey, you guys, we don't want to split the pie. The women are already such a small segment of the women in the game that we don't want to make them compete for more space. So if you could just coordinate with me, just your ladies date, your ladies date. I don't care about anything else. Just let me tell you what would be a good day. I promise you, to be fair, I will bend backwards to make sure that this is really, really good. Well, um, so that's what I do. I coordinate through the whole week. Everybody contacts me and asks about this and that and the other. Of course, there's always one or two properties that don't feel like they need to do that, they'll just call me and say, this is when we're doing it. And I'll let them know, well, there's already somebody in that space. And they're like, okay, well, good luck with that,
Right, right.
and
And that's
that's
all
when
you
we
can
have
do. I
conflict.
mean, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
I
But what
mean,
we hope is that, and when women come to me and say, hey, I don't like to have to choose between A property and B property, then I say, would you go back to that property? I'll let you know which one it was that did not coordinate, and let them know that. Tell them that you're dissatisfied. You're there to support them, but you are dissatisfied that they are not participating in the process, so that maybe the next year that they will. And it's just a learning process. And if they hear it enough from a bunch of different directions, then maybe they will consider it, right? So, and that's all.
absolutely. And, for those of us that have participated, we thank you for sure. Because, no good deed goes unpunished there, Delupe. Uh,
Yeah, there's elevators locked in. Tell
and
you.
it's right. And it's a thankless job, right? It's because, when you're working behind the scenes on stuff, people don't necessarily realize what it takes to do it, especially when you've done it so often that now you make it look easy.
Yeah.
So, kudos to you.
Well, thank
Can
you.
you Absolutely? Can you explain to our listeners the difference between the two ladies groups, the Lips group and the WPA, please?
Sure. Well, Lips is a poker tour, and it was created for that purpose, so that women can get together and we, design a tournament, either a single tournament or a series of tournaments for people to participate in. It's a business. It's a for-profit business. So when the Women's Poker Association, we knew that there needed to be one. And we tried to do it in, I want to say 20, oh gosh, maybe 2009, 2008, 2009. But we made the mistake of signing it up as a proprietary for profit business. And it was like, this isn't going to work. And
Right.
after about 6 months of really like regurgitating what the process might look like, we realized this isn't going to work. We didn't want people to get confused about what a poker tour looks like and what an association is. So we went back to the drawing table. And after a few years of shelving the idea, and, we knew that it also is about timing. Everything in the world is about timing.
Right
And
on.
it was finally a push. There was enough discussion in the industry about programming for women's events, etc., that we knew that the association was the right time to start again. And so I reached out to a bunch of people that I knew that had a very strong interest in elevating women and to make the movement move forward. So I asked them if they would be willing to volunteer, and we made this a completely it's a nonprofit, all volunteer organization. And literally, it is its sole purpose is to create a voice for women in the industry, and also to celebrate women and their accomplishments in the industry. So that is really what the WPA does. There's a fundraiser that goes on so that we can do things like celebrate final tables for any operator who would like to celebrate their final table with the presence of the Women's Poker Association. They provide a trophy and some patches, and they will usually send a representative from one of the advocates over to host that event for them, etc. And it has had such an impact. Seriously, people don't
Right.
realize what is
Right.
going on. But I don't remember what the count is now, but I want to say it's somewhere around 7, 8, 10,000, something like that, of membership now.
Yep.
And it's of course gone global. And the reason that it's so important is because it is an association. It's just like if you were a CPA. you would want to be part of the CPA association because that drives your industry. It creates norms. That's why there's a tournament directors association. It's for all the tournament directors to get together and to discuss the rules and the
That
regulations and to
networking,
move that
right?
forward. Yeah, so that's the biggest difference is that Lips is a poker tour. It's just like a Run Good or a WPT or any of those kind of poker tours. That's a third party operator. And then Women's Poker Association is an association. It's a free membership. It's for all women who play. And if you have a strong passion about moving, things forward, you can become an advocate in your area. And there's training for that and all that good stuff. And uh, the association is self-governed. I was the president. Well, actually, I started off as the executive director, and the reason I did that was because I didn't want the the public or the perception to be that I ran the show. And in a nonprofit organization, it's the board of directors that run the
Right.
show, and
Right.
they turn that assignment over to the executive director to execute.
Right.
So that's where I was. So I didn't even have a vote in how things went, but I formed the association, but I gave the leadership over to them. And after a few years, the president stepped down, and we were still so new. I just said, I will take on the presidency, but I can only, and it's a 3-year term. So I did that for 3 years. And then after my 3 years was up, I stepped back down, and there's a new president in place. And I believe it's been almost 3 years, and she's about ready to step down, and there'll be another new president. So really, it's important that people understand that it's the women who are the membership who are literally open to being able to be in leadership.
Right on. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you explaining the difference because I think sometimes people get confused about that.
Hmm.
And I find myself explaining it often. Now, kudos to Lip's existence celebrating 20 years this year. Kudos for that. Can you tell
Thanks.
us what you've been doing to celebrate those 20 years and what you've been doing around the world and around the country?
Well, I'll tell you, it has been a blast. I mean, we're getting towards the tail end of this year, but I just think that if I could be sliced into 5 different people, it would have been great because there's been so many people who have been 100% supportive. I've called them and said, "Hey, it's our 20-year anniversary. We really want to expand the reach for the tour for this year and really celebrate it in a way that it should be." And everybody has said yes.
And that's been awesome.
It
And
is.
it's so funny because I had mentioned to somebody, I want to say probably 2, maybe 3 years ago, maybe during COVID or right after, that I thought you should do a meetup game tour. And so when you announced it, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
she's going to do a meetup game tour.
It
Uh,
has been so much fun. And we realize, I mean, when you're doing a poker tour, it's all about tournaments, right? But having the social aspect of a meetup game is an absolute blast because there are a lot of women who play, but they don't play tournaments. I'm one of those women.
right,
So
right.
it's fun to just get together and hang out with all the girls, have a cocktail or two, shoot the shit and play some poker. It's
Hell
great.
yeah. Well, we in the spaces love our meetup games, and I think I might be doing one here in the near future. It'll be the fourth one I've hosted for our spaces people, and we could not agree more. We love the meetup game aspect and the
Oh,
fun of it,
me too.
um, for sure. All right, I'm going to move you along. How about we talk about let's see. Currently, you're organizing the Women in Poker Winter Festival. That'll be running during the WPT time in Vegas in
Hmm.
December. Last week, my guest was Jamie Vertusio, and she suggested a bounty tournament and a tag team event be added to the schedule. And poof, the next day, the schedule came out with a bounty tournament And now Jamie thinks I have some kind of magical powers. So I want to thank you for that. But can you give us maybe a little overview of the events that you have scheduled for that week?
Well, God's honest truth, I wish I had a 2-week series only because there's so many wonderful things that we could be doing.
Sure.
There and if I could just share that people who are a third party operator like myself
Right.
and people like Run Good and WPT,
Oh,
we
wait.
literally are the at the mercy of a property. So they tell us how many tables we can have, how many dates we can have, blah, 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 blah. And we just shove in as much as we can during that time. So we're going to kick off the series with the Orleans, who has always been a big part of the Lips tour. As a matter of fact, we held the grand championship there. Whew, I want to say 3 years or 4 years back when they used to do a summer series. They brought back the summer series now, but it doesn't look like it used to. But anyway, so it is kind of like a reunion for us to go back to the Orleans, having
Nice.
that event there, and then be doing most of the events at the Resorts World because it's in such close proximity to the Win and where the WPT Ladies Championship will be. And we understand that it's difficult, especially if you're traveling in transportation and all those things. So we try to make it as convenient as possible. And so we have that. We have the bounty tournament happening. We have if anybody came to last year's meetup game, we had it at the Sahara. And we had 80 women that showed up and we did a gift exchange during that time, the Santa stealing gift thing while we
Yes.
played poker. Okay. It was a blast.
Well, I
We're,
want you to tell me, are we doing that this year? Because I'll be in town for that. And is it a pajama party again or what?
it's not a pajama party. It's a holiday PFF party, Poker Friends Forever. It'll be held at the Resorts World, and it is going to be again with the Sand Exchange. And I'll put out all the rules and stuff, so I'll make sure that it gets shared, at the ladies groups and with Lips and WPA and to Women in Poker and all that good stuff, so everybody can understand what. And you don't have to participate in the gift exchange to be able to come to the meetup game. It's just one more element to the meetup game for you to
Right.
participate in. And it's a blast. Oh my gosh, there was some fun stuff that was,
I love it. I
shared.
love that kind of stuff so much.
Yeah.
It just makes poker fun, right? And
Yeah.
for those that are listening, you can scroll up. I put the schedule for that week up in what we call the jumbotron Lupe's screen. If you scroll
Oh.
up to the top, you will see the schedule's been pinned there.
Got it.
So I want to also talk about, I mentioned that you are the founder of the Women's in Poker Hall of Fame, and
Mhm.
several women are going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And we only do this biannually, and this year's the year. So it's
Mm.
going to be during this Women's Festival. December 11th at 11 o'clock will be the new induction.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any more details on that place or?
Well,
Yeah,
I
I know you're
I can
working
give you
on it.
an update, but the contract hasn't been signed on the place. And I'll tell you, this year, unlike any other time, is that it was we couldn't set our schedule until we had the schedule from the World Poker Tour.
Sure.
And as soon as they did that, then it was a mad dash. Well, in that time, if you look at Las Vegas in the week that we're having Ladies Week, it is the rodeo in town. There's Cowboy Christmas. It's all the holiday parties from all the corporate places.
Right.
So finding a venue has been very, 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 very difficult. But we think we've got it, and tomorrow we should be locking it in. But the
Awesome.
exciting news is that Monday is are announcing the ballot. We
Yes.
uh, we had all of the nominees that during the open public nomination process. It has been vetted and brought down to the short list of the ballot, and it will be made public on Monday.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
exciting. And just so you know, we went over that here in Spaces. So We promoted folks to go vote and not vote, to submit
No.
their nominees. And
Mhm.
so we are excitedly waiting for the picks, of course. And could you tell us how people will be able to get information on how to get tickets to attend the ceremony?
Sure. So on Monday, when we put out the ballot, this is the how the Hall of Fame works is every living hall member and a very short list of media members are the voting body of the hall. Every person receives 10 votes. So me, Lupe Soto, I'm going to have 10 votes. I'm going to be able to cast my votes on that list of the ballot any way I wish. So it will go, for example, I want candidate A to have all 10 of my votes, I could do that. Or I could split it up, 2 votes here, 3 votes there, 1 vote here, but however I want. The public will also get an opportunity to vote, but they act as one person. So once all of the ballot comes in from the public, then it gets percentaged out, and that's how it gets distributed for the 10 votes from the public. So actually, everybody gets to participate in a way, right?
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Love it.
Um, then what we will do is we will contact the people who win, and we are inducting 2 people this year, and they will get notified. And should they accept the nomination and the induction, then we will make our formal announcement and put that out there, and then the tickets will go on sale for the actual event, and that again is going to be on December the 11th, which is a Wednesday, and then immediately following the ceremony is from 11 to 2, and then at 3 p.m. we have a very fun tournament. It's $185 buy-in. It's $50 per person bounty on each person, but if you the hall members are going to play it. And oh god, I'm such a fish. You can come get my
So I want
so
to try to get on your table. Is that
yeah.
what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah. So there'll be hall members in the game, and we will have lots of basket prizes. And if you knock out a hall member, you'll draw a number, and you'll win one of the lovely prize baskets that are going to be there on top of your bounty. So
That's so fun.
it's fun, and it's an opportunity to play with some of these people that you normally wouldn't be able to play with. I mean, Maria doesn't play in the games that I play in. Jennifer Tilly doesn't either, and a lot of these people they'll be there to play. So, um, yeah, it's a really fun time, and
It's
that'll be
awesome.
Resorts World.
Well, we will look forward to that. And they can watch the LIPS website, am I correct, for ticket information after Monday?
Womeninpokerhalloffame.com or whipoff.com.
Oh, why did I say LIPS? Oh my
That's
God.
okay.
Yes. I'm
That's
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we'll share the information, but it's
Sure.
the actual purchase of everything will be on that. And Women in Poker Hall of Fame is a nonprofit, and it's under the Vegas Connected umbrella as well as Poker Gives.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about poker gifts. I know that Mike Sexton and Linda Johnson and some others started Poker Gives charity.
Hmm.
Um, and I believe you recently took ownership of it. I'm confused on that. Maybe you can straighten me out. But
Sure.
tell us what Poker Gives is, what it is, how people can donate or help feed the homeless, please.
Oh, sure. Well, actually, Vegas Connected is the charity. Poker Gives is our fundraising arm for our charity. And when they first started it, they came to me and said, "Hey, we want to do this charity. Can you help us?" Because I already was running a charity, a different charity. And so I sat down with them and showed them what the ropes were. And their initial purpose was to raise funds for the charities that were near and dear to their hearts.
Right.
So they used to raise money for things like uh, Wounded Warrior Project and gosh, Make a Wish and all these different things that they loved, right? So they would either get pledges from poker players for their successes to pledge to their winnings, and or they would host fun fundraisers, poker tournaments, etc. And then they decided that they were going to take a turn and start doing a lot more cruising and stuff. And they said, "Hey, I'm, we want to take away the responsibilities, but we want it to keep going. Will you take it over?" So in 2013, I adopted the Poker Gives mission, as long as they understood that we did direct services. We don't raise money for other charities. We actually do the work.
Right, right.
And we're a completely all volunteer organization. And so at the time we were doing things like clothing and toiletries to keep the homeless people clean, because that's a health and safety factor. And so we were doing those kinds of things. We also have a program for the homeless youth, and we work with the community and schools, and they identify those kids. They tell us what the needs are. We set out to meet those needs. And we also work with the Air Force Base, and they share with us if there is a family that has a need that they cannot fulfill. They refer them to us, and we set out to do that as well. Now COVID happened, so we went out to go service the homeless with all of our toiletries and all of our clothing and things. And when we showed up, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you're here, where have you been?" And we're like, "Well, it's our day to come out." And they said that they had not eaten, and
Oh,
everything was shut down. They could not even panhandle because nobody was on the streets.
right, right.
So we all dug into our pockets and went out and bought pizzas and brought them back. And then we realized that this was going to be a problem until COVID was over. Well, as you know, COVID was impacted for 2 years. And so our mission changed. We now feed about 550 homeless every Monday night at the Care Project, which is a center that provides a mat for the people to sleep on and a safe place for them to sleep at night. And then during the winter, they have a heater that blows down. And in the summer, they have misters. That's all it is. It's nothing fantastic, but some different services do come in there and help them with other things. But so that's where we serve on Monday nights.
Well, and I just want to say, for those of you that are listening or going to listen on replay, if you live in Vegas or you're going to be in Vegas on a trip and would like to help feed the homeless, please reach out. And you can reach out to me and I'll connect you with the people. Lupe, Donna, any of us can help you find your way to help on that cause on Monday nights.
Sure. And they can even go to pokergives.org, and it lists our address and everything. And we actually just got a volunteer coordinator. And so she will be, you'll be able to reach her and get her. She'll tell you, "Hey, yeah, we're going to be over here and we need help with this," or whatever.
Awesome.
Because we
I
have people that cook, we have people that pick up food, we have a lot of donors that are partners in our mission. We have like Red Lobster and Olive Garden and Whole Foods and all these, and we take all that food and we repurpose it in some way and then serve it.
love it.
Yeah.
What a great cause. What a great mission. And, I love the fact that it's going right to who needs it and not a lot of middle people in there, which means that's better bang for our buck to help
Uh-huh.
someone in need, right?
Yes.
So I want to tell our audience members, if you'd like to come up and ask Lupe a question or make some comments, please hit that request button in the bottom left of your screen, and we'll get you up here so that you can do just that. Um, I'm going to pivot for a minute because here in Spaces, for about, I would have to say today and yesterday, it kind of quieted down on this topic. But before that, it was a hot topic because quite a few of the people involved actually hang out with us here in Spaces. And so it became a hot topic for us to discuss, let alone just the topic itself. So even though you just got back from an amazing vacation with your family, I'm sure you heard about the recent events involving HCL and Nick Vertucci. Prior to this event, many of us here have discussed how women are treated in the world of poker. Unfortunately, some, not all, have denied that bad behavior toward women even exists. As we all know, a problem cannot be fixed unless those involved recognize that there is a problem. Can you give us any examples of bad behavior you witnessed, were a victim of, or been subject to, or were told about that maybe could help shed some more light on the topic?
Well, um, I think that bad behavior exists in the world. And I I think that some people who are the personality types that they can't cope with stress, or they find themselves superior at the table, and they just have that personality where they pick on people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Those kind of people exist at the poker table, and unfortunately, it can be incredibly uncomfortable. And I like to speak not only to about women who endure this, but I think that it also translates to men.
Well, and I agree. And those that know me here in the spaces know that I preach that all the time. That it's not always the men that are the ones that are being out of line. That women do it too. But
Sure.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I really feel like it is, and that's what the mission of the Women's Poker Association is to elevate the experience for poker players at the table. And there's a whole program called the Raise It Up program, and the Raise It Up program is to raise the respect levels and raise the fun levels so that we can raise the number of people who want to be in our game. So, having said that, I think that it's every single person's responsibility who sits at the table to be a pleasant person to be around. Because if you can't be that person, you shouldn't be participating in this game.
Absolutely. I could not agree more.
It is a game, people. It's just like when you see these people after their team sport loses in football and they're a spectator and they pick up their television and throw it out the door. What the hell's wrong with those people? You know?
Daniel Negreanu, but go ahead.
It's like, come on, I'm it's just, if you got to be a respectful person. Have I been yelled at, treated poorly, or whatever at the poker table? Yes. But I also am what I would say a formidable person. I am capable of pretty much handling any of those kind of situations. However, I will remember, and it didn't happen at a poker table for me, it happened at a blackjack table. I was sitting at a blackjack table to kill some time while I was waiting for that was I never used I don't play blackjack anymore. But I was just going to say is back in the day, I didn't know what to do with myself when I first went to a casino and I was waiting for the list to go down and when they would call me in poker. So I used to sit at a blackjack table and then I would lose all my money before poker. So I don't do that anymore.
Oh my
So
God. I'm glad you figured that out.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, okay. I'm a little dense sometimes, but anyway, there was this little gal, and she was sitting there. It was me and her and some guy, and he was serious. And we were just there, was killing time. And this guy was so angry at her because she took a hit on a game, on the card. She asked for a hit, and apparently that changed the whole.
Oh yeah. People
He
get
lost
crazy
like
about that. Yeah.
yeah, he was crazy. He went off on her
Oh.
so bad, and she got up and took off to the restroom, and I was like, I turned to him and said, "You're a big old a-hole,"
Yeah.
and I left and I followed her in, and I told her, I said, "Honey, I am so sorry that that happened to you. That should never happen to you. You put your money down on that table to play your game as much as that guy put his money down to the table to play his game. And
Absolutely.
he doesn't pay your bills. He does not he does not have anything to do with your finances in your life, and guess what? He has no rights to treat you that way. So I said, you go back to that table, you hold your head up high, and you do whatever you damn well please. And that's the way I feel everybody should be at the poker table. I mean, there are people who make bonehead moves all the time and kick your ass. They do.
Absolutely.
And
100%. And I'm
yeah,
going to give
so
a little shout out to the men in these spaces who stood up against poor behavior at the poker table, as well as in these spaces, and the women too. I want to thank them because sometimes it's not a popular opinion to stand up for what's right anymore.
well, again, I know I keep harping back to the Women's Poker Association, but there is a program for the men, and it's called the Purple Tie Guy. And the reason purple is the color of the WPA. And if you look at a tie, that looks like a guy, right? You get, well, women wear ties too, but for the majority part, the men wear ties. So the
Right.
Purple Tie Guy program literally is just a little patch, and a guy can throw it on his jacket. He can throw it on his backpack or whatever he does around poker. And when a woman sits at the table and she sees that patch, she immediately knows that that guy supports women in poker. And 90% of the time, that guy's going to have her back if something goes down. And it's just a really great program. It's again another free thing to join. If you go sign up to be a purple tie guy over at the Women's Poker Association.com, they will send you a patch. And or if you're at an event where WPA is present, they will have patches available for you there too.
You can
But
ask me for one. I'll have some.
there you go, there you go. And it's just a cool thing. But I always tell people, and this came from a gentleman. He was a bank teller where I bank, and I was doing a deposit, and he my on my ATM card is the picture of my Hall of Fame induction. And he looked at that and he goes, "Hey, you play poker?" And I was, we started the conversation, and he goes, "I play poker, but I play it online because I'm afraid to go to the poker."
Right. Right.
And you just never know somebody's journey, and if we want to grow this game, you need to treat everybody like it's their first time at the game so that they will want to come back. And you aren't going to do that if you treat them like shit at the table. So
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. And I'm just going to pivot for a minute and remind folks, if you want to speak, go ahead and request that mic button. I see some folks down in the audience. Big shout out to ASG and Ryan Robb and Matt and Burrows and Cush and Hayden. I appreciate all of you listening. SW, Maddie, and Barry. Jean and Veronica just joined us. I appreciate all of you being here with us. Those that are in the Gitmo, which is the anonymous listeners down at the bottom, I appreciate you. And those that will listen on replay. Donna, do you have any questions before I pivot over to Rick? Do you have any questions or comments for Lupe?
Yeah, I do. Hi, Lupe. Finally, nice to speak to you
nice to
after all
see
this
you.
time. How are you?
I'm great, actually. It's so funny because coming off of this vacation that I had, it was really hard to get back into work mode.
I bet
I
it
could not
was.
agree more. Yeah.
I bet it was. I mean, going back to Ladies in Poker, my daughter's just turned 21. And as soon as she turned 18, I took her to a casino because I feel safer in a casino than I do going to a nightclub. So as soon as my daughter was of the age that she could go in, then she went in. And I'm going to do exactly the same with my son. And she sits and watches me play poker. And if she wants to play poker, she knows and understands that she can do that in a safe environment. Anyway, as soon as I found out that you was coming on, I wrote a list of questions,
Uh-oh.
which if you ask Sherry, that is so unlike me.
That's great.
so, so unlike me.
Very unlikely. Go ahead, girl.
But
Here
most of them you've answered. But aside from poker, you're a foodie. What's your favourite food and why?
uh well, that's really easy. It's tacos.
Yeah.
Because, honey, anything that goes in a tortilla is a taco. I don't care what it is. So I can shove anything I want in there.
I love it.
Where's your favourite restaurant?
Ooh. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I am such a home cooked girl. I would prefer home cooked meals over a restaurant any day.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, if my friends say, "Hey, let's go out," I'd rather say, "Hey, what's your specialty? Let's go to your house. I want to taste what you make."
Apart from being stuck in the lift in Vegas in 100-degree heat, where's the strangest place you found yourself?
Ooh. Well, you gotta. I have a very, very. Ooh, how do you say? No, without sounding too crazy, kind of a sordid past. uh,
Girl, we
I
do
guess I could
crazy
say
here.
that I've been in jail a few times.
You'll
I
have to
love
tell
it.
me about that when we eventually meet. We'll not go into it on here.
You got it.
No worries. And what can we expect of the future moving forward for your organisations and the women's?
Well, that's it's interesting. I have spent this year very reflective, even though it's about, the 20-year anniversary of Lips. It's also, I'm 66 years old. I'm like, holy crapola, what the hell am I going to do here? So I'm kind of looking at, okay, when do I decide to retire? And what am I going to do between now and then? And what are the key things that I feel like I still have in me to bring forward? And there's a couple of things. There's two things that I feel pretty strongly about. And one of them is mixed games. So I have just finally gotten approval. I'm going to start teaching mixed games. I want anybody who wants to learn how to play them to learn how to play them.
I
And
love that. Do you remember when you and Donna Blevins tried to do it on Zoom? I think we were doing it.
yes,
Oh
yes.
my God, I tuned in every time. I don't know if I was the only one or not, but go ahead. I
But
love
that's
that.
what I want to do. And the Venetian is putting in not only are they putting in live streaming, but they're also putting in a podcast booth.
Right.
So I've been in talks with them. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do something there so that we can actually live stream some of the stuff and or just record some things and make it, in a nice setting where people can at their leisure, review it. But we want to invite people in, and also I'm going to do some one not one-on-ones, but like close 1 to 2 table seminars where everybody can come in, they can learn the games. Now there'll be the basics in far as like Omaha, stud, Raz, triple draw, and a Badoogie or flop games, Badoogie games, those kinds of things. Um,
Love it.
so then the next series, and there's the we're kind of going in the cocktail kind of way. So freshly mixed are the people who don't know anything about it,
Right.
and then we are moving on to the people who can call their mix. In other words, they can call the game that they want to play. And that's the people who are kind of intermediate. And then we're going to go to the top shelf. And those are the people who know all of it and they're ready to combine the games so that they can play like a Badesi, where it's a Badoogie and a ace to five triple draw at the same game. It's a mixed within. So, I mean, I literally cannot play Hold'em anymore. I would rather chew nails. I can't play Hold'em. I have to play something else.
It's so funny because that's the only thing I play. So I find it so intriguing. And not that I'm not trying to broaden my horizons, regular life, real life gets in the way sometimes, but I only play Hold'em. So I'm like, well, I only play Hold'em and I can't imagine playing those other games. So I find it, comical, but a lot of people say that once you go to mixed games, you don't want to play Hold'em anymore.
Exactly. And I feel like limit poker is the next great thing in poker. It used to be only limit poker. Then we
Right.
moved into spread limit poker. Then we moved into no limit poker. And of course, we still have pot limit. But it is when you have somebody who's moving into the game, and unless they have a regular pocketbook to open to be able to play the game, no limit hold'em can wipe you out fast.
Right. Oh, yeah,
Limit
absolutely.
hold'em doesn't do that. Limit
Right.
hold'em can let you manage your bankroll for multiple. Usually, I mean, if you do it well, you're not going to lose a lot of money, and but you can spend a lot of time playing the game. So
Right.
that's my other goal, is to get limit poker and mixed game poker to be regularly spread in poker rooms. So
Awesome.
that's a big deal for me. And I do have one more. I know this is a very lofty goal, very hugely lofty
I
goal.
love it.
But I would like to open a poker museum, and that would be where we would store our historical things, the artifacts and things like that. And I hope to make it a traveling poker museum that would be on a semi truck, and so it could travel across the country and people would be able to visit it in very when they have a series that's happening at their property or whatever.
Well, I'm
So
going to tell
poker.
you, Lupe,
Mm,
those of have been listening to me for 18 months in these spaces will tell you that I have brought up that I would love for the Poker Hall of Fame to become its own um, separate entity from the WSOP, and it be run by turned over and run by a foundation,
right.
and in a standalone building with a poker museum. So
Well, it
I
probably
love
won't
that you.
be standalone, and I'll tell you why. It is so. I mean, anybody who's ever run a museum can tell you that it is probably one of the most expensive things to do.
Right. Oh yeah, of
But
course. Yep.
if it was a traveling one, it would
Might
be
be more
you.
feasible.
Yeah, and you can change out the exhibits and do all kinds of things, with the traveling one.
I
But
love that.
I have to tell you that there is a talk already happening in that direction, which is good, for the Poker Hall of Fame to become a foundation.
I
ver-
love that. I have been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
Please let it become its own foundation, stand alone. Then
Uh-huh.
the shroud of what's going on there is lifted, and I love that.
Yeah, I think that in order for it to really hold its integrity, it needs to go in that direction so that no
Yes.
one feels it's proprietary. And that's
Yes.
why the Women in Poker Hall of Fame is nonprofit, because
Yes.
it doesn't belong to anybody. It
That's
belongs
right.
to everybody.
I love that. Oh, that has just made my day. Now I'm going to move us along because we have a couple of listeners that have come up onto the panel to speak with you. So first, Rick O'Connell, welcome.
Well, thank you, my dear. It's nice to see you. Lupe, I don't know if you remember,
Oh
but
my God, Rick O'Connell, hello.
I guess so. How
Yes.
are you, my
Oh,
dear? You are a survivor. Let me
oh
tell
yeah,
you.
baby.
I just love you, my dear, and what you've done for women in poker and just for poker in general. But I've got something for you.
Sure.
If you start this museum, in my case here, I have something that says Del Webb's Sahara Tahoe. It's 4x6. It's a deck of cards. Amarillo Slim's Poker Classic, the fourth annual Super Bowl of Poker, January 28th to February 12th, 1982. The
Wow. Wow.
precursor to the World Series of Poker. And
Isn't that something?
yeah, my best friend Steve was the general manager of it when Sierra Tahoe became the Horizon, and also the Mont Bleu across the street. And my wife and I got married there in the Elvis Suite, and he just had all this memorabilia sitting around from those days. And I, of course, I snagged those cards.
I'm happy to
And
say I've seen that in
yes,
person.
yes, she has. And
That's so
I
great.
something I love to have in your museum if you ever get that going, because I think that's kind of history of how all the big major tournaments started, back in the day.
It's
So
100%, and I appreciate that. And I'm making a note of it right now so that I
hey,
will have that to recall when my brain doesn't recall very well anymore.
I know what you mean. I know
That's
exactly.
so awesome, Rick.
Yeah, they're kind of cool. Well, you saw him, so
Yeah. I think the offer is awesome, though. Good for you, buddy.
yeah, yeah. He
It is.
was he was a fun guy. I know he had his demons, but he was like a grandfather to me when he played at Cherokee in Tulsa, and I just every time he walked in the door, I said, "What are you doing here, you old fart?" And he'd laugh, but the room would lighten up, and
Mhm.
he was one of the greatest players of all time, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if it wasn't for him getting on Johnny Carson, those 5 times he did that, and the books he's written are hysterical,
Oh
and
yeah,
so I think it's kind of a neat piece of memorabilia. But I'm
it is.
so glad to see. I'm so glad Sherry got you on. This is
Yeah.
great.
Well,
Uh,
thank you. It's
you
so
know,
great to hear from you too.
and that's
Hope all is well in your world.
yeah, it's wonderful. It's absolutely we're cruising a lot, which is a good thing. But I just I hope poker gives. I remember when it started up too, and I think it's just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful organization, and I really hope people get involved with it. And if you're in Vegas, man, on a Monday, help them out, because they do wonderful things there. So good for you.
Absolutely.
Good for you keeping it going.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Good
appreciate.
stuff.
That's so
So,
awesome. I love that spaces brings people together. It makes my heart so freaking happy.
Mhm.
Um, I want to give a little shout out to a guest I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, Ronnie Day, who just took down event number 1 at the WSOP Circuit Series at Caesars Southern Indiana. He got a ring and a little over 18K for his efforts. So kudos
Woo.
to Ronnie Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so excited to read that this afternoon. Now, I'm gonna I'm gonna ask you to meet ASG. He's come up on the panel and might have some questions or comments. Welcome, ASG.
Hi, yes. So I'm just kind of learning about your organizations from the space here. I'm not crazy familiar with them. So yeah, I have two questions, but the first one really leads perfectly into what Sherry just said, because she just mentioned the WSOP circuit. So besides the recent Ritucci events, there was also earlier, was it this year, I think, where there was a question of if the circuit was going to stop having ladies events at every circuit location, and it was taken up, or at least what you saw a lot in the public was by Ash Kardash. And so I was just wondering, like, was there somebody from one of these orgs like that was talking to the poker media? Because I didn't really see it, other than Ash, who I don't like really associate with either of these orgs.
So, I hope I can speak to this. I'm going to give a little bit of history. The circuit tour started when, gosh, Kenny Lambert and Johnny Grooms were working the circuit. They were given the task to start the circuit. I just happened to be sitting there with them when they got the call that they had to do it. And I said, listen, we're going to have a ladies event with those, right? And they looked at me like I had 10 eyes. And I said, they didn't think that we could support it. So I convinced them to let me start the ladies event at the circuit tours. And it was wildly successful. And then as with all things corporate, they look at real estate and they look at what what the bottom line, right? So what's happening is they would have women come in and they would only have maybe 100 women, but if they took that space and they made it an open event, they could have 400 people or more in that same time frame. So they were just saying, well, let's just drop the ladies' events. Well, poochie to that. We were like, no, 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 no. You are missing the mission. You have to look and of course, um, it keeps going back and forth from the organizers of the circuit to the properties. So more the properties were making what they wanted there, and then the circuit team would come in and run it. So if the property didn't want to pay for the hardware that was going to be given out for that event, and two, the profit margin that they would make over a ladies event to an open event, and they were saying let's eliminate it, they were winning. And so there was a lot of circuit tours that were dropping it for that very reason. And so women, either the players who were local to that event and or a media push from some of the prominent players like a Ash Kardashian or everybody. And they were, or anybody who had an influence of any kind, they were picking up the phone and calling. The only thing that I was sensitive to is you get a whole lot more when you are, what does they say, you get more with honey than you do with vinegar. So I was asking those women who were making the calls or asking for this to return, that they do so in a respectful way, because we don't want to come and blast these operators that are just trying to do a good product for their, I hate to say this, but for their ignorance. They don't realize that this ladies event is critical in in the market for women.
In the
It
big
it
scheme of things.
it is, because for a lot of women who come to that event, it is huge to own a circuit ring. And for them to be able to have a place where they can compete at that level, which is a mid level usually, and get the prestige of a ring is ginormous. And we want to maintain that. And they heard us. So they went back to the operators at the jacks, and those kind of people really went back to bat for us and said, hey, the ladies really want it. We're trying to support women. I mean, they give us the warm up event at the ladies WSOP as a smaller event for women to just to get together, before the main ladies event. And so
Sick brag, sick brag. I came in second place in that tournament this year. Go ahead.
there you go. So it's an opportunity, and we don't want those opportunities to diminish. We want them to increase. So we ask all women when they go to those, number one, if they want to complain about it, they need to also step up and attend it. Okay, so I tell women, look, don't just complain that they aren't having it. You need to say, I am committing to go and be at that event. So I make them put up or shut up, basically,
I
right?
love it. Love it.
Yeah. So it's like so we ask women a lot for not only them to be outspoken when they get there, but to share how much they appreciate that this event is still in place for us, and also for them to attend it.
Awesome. Go ahead, ASG. Did you have a second question?
Yeah. First, like a
Sure.
follow up with that though, like what I was trying to figure out though is like normally like when I think of organizations and like the media, if you had like poker news or somebody had an article, you would have somebody that they would reach out to specifically when there comes to be like a certain issue, whether it's not enough ladies events or this recent thing of
Ah,
with Nick, that there would be
Like a
somebody who would be
spokesperson.
like this the spokesperson, representing the group and what
well,
they, you know,
okay,
yeah.
I get you now. Okay, there's twofold on this. There's threefold on this, actually. The first one is the Women's Poker Association is always an advocacy group for women in poker. Yes, they pick up the phone. Yes, they call people. Um, they are very blessed in that they have direct lines to the management teams on every single poker tour. Okay. That's the one thing. The second thing is we have an amazing relationship with those kinds of people like Poker News, Poker Org, Poker Pro News. And the newest kid on the block is Women Poker News. And Women Poker News is writing specifically for about women's issues. And also they are putting, how do I say this? They are calling out the organizations that are holding women to a different standard. For example, I know that something happened with a gal who writes for one of these organizations, and she, I know that you guys are on spaces and stuff, but I gotta say, the whole X space and the Twitter space is one of the harshest places for women to be. So I don't go. It's
And
like,
that's precisely why I'm here, because
there you
I
go.
want to prove that that is not true in all spaces. There are very toxic spaces. And one of the goals, when I left a toxic space after a very short period of time, my goal was to make a space where people could come and have a good time, maybe learn, but mostly have a good time. So believe me, we
Right.
all know about those
Yeah.
toxic spaces.
Yeah, and it used to be like 2 plus 2 was the place that everybody went and talked poker, and that was a very toxic space for women. And then the grindettes got together and they made a space within the space for it was a safe place, a place for women to go and to really learn about poker and to be able to express themselves and all that kind of stuff. And so I really appreciate what you're doing. This is great because
Thank you.
I personally can't. I I'm too old. My mouth runs bigger than my brain sometimes. So I
Hey,
can get,
we
I can
all
get
fall into
myself into
that from time
trouble.
to time, but if the ultimate goal
We
is
get it.
met, we're good.
Yeah. But yes, we have friends in all of those places. So if something comes up, there's usually an underbelly of conversation that happens and it gets elevated to the next level. And very few times it usually gets resolved before I ever get involved. It's funny. I mean, once in a while somebody will do the bat call, the bat line or whatever,
Yep.
the red phone or whatever you want to call it, and they'll call me and say, "Hey, this needs to be taken care of immediately." And it's very rare that I can't make a phone call where something like that will get resolved pretty quickly. And or if it and I call it the next level. If I have to call the White House, so I call Linda Johnson. And let me just tell you, there is
That's the nuke
nobody.
button. That's the
Yes,
nuke
there
button.
is nobody in the poker space that doesn't pick up the phone for Linda Johnson.
Right on. Did
Hmm.
that answer your question, ASG?
Yeah, I guess. Then my second question is regarding the ladies' events in general. I speak to a number of people, and there's those that like the current ladies' events and their environment and this and that, and then there's a lot that I speak to that are like, oh well, the buy-ins are too low and there's not enough of a field, so I don't want to be a part of it because it's not worth my time. And I see that with a lot of like pros that ladies might want to be playing with. That's like what a lot of people like to play with when they're amateurs. Is they're like, oh, I want to play in an event that has X person in it. So I was just seeing your opinions on how you balance you know having a buy-in low enough to be relatable to some newer people while still being high enough or having a high enough of a prize pool that the pros are still interested in playing in.
Well, I think that there's a couple of things. First of all, hallelujah that women are playing and they feel like they have graduated to the next level, because there is something for everybody. There are the entry level people, and and let me just say that I remember when I started, Poker tournaments were $20, $30, $50, $60, $75. And if you were really a high roller, you could go in at $150. Okay. Then there was the World Series ladies event. And that was the big daddy. And oftentimes, the only time you saw a pro sitting at the table with you was at that event. And that's kind of the case to this day. If you really want to play with those kinds of people, you're going to have to get to their level. So, my goal is to create opportunities for people to satellite their way into those events. So, we always host satellite single table, like even in this series that we're having in December. I have a step program. I have an event where you can come play a single table satellite for $60 so that you could play the next the oh, they call it something, I can't remember now what it's called, but the satellite that the WPT is hosting, which is a $200 event. So you win your way from 60 to 200, and if you win your way there, you can get into that $1,100 buy-in, and that's where all those pros that you want to sit with are going to be playing. they I don't expect women who play at that level to come back and play $150 tournament.
It's not
I
for them.
It's not. And I think that you need to play wherever it is you want to put your dollars. If that means that you play ladies events because you like the camaraderie, you like supporting the women that are at that level, come and play with us. If you are the kind of person who has graduated to the point where they're playing $1,500 events, $3,500 events, $5,000 events, they're considered pros at that point, I think. So if they need to not play a ladies event because that is not where their dollars are best valued, that's where I want them to go. Go play those events. That's okay. Now, this year we were hoping to have a high roller event. The high roller event was going to be a $2,500 buy-in for all of those women who are at that level. It didn't work out because we were hoping that the Venetian was going to have their stuff ready for the streaming, their new streaming room. It We still don't know if it'll be ready in time, but in order for it to happen, we wanted it to be that level of an exposure, and we haven't put it in the schedule. That doesn't mean that it won't be in the schedule. It just means that it's not there yet.
Okay,
You
thank you.
bet. Did I lose you?
Oh Lord, I shut my own microphone off. Sorry. Yeah, I'm such a rookie. 18 months and still a rookie.
That's
Um,
okay.
Thank you, ASG and Rick. If you could change one thing about the world of poker, what would that be, Lupe?
Ooh, only one.
Only one.
That the industry would embrace limit poker.
Okay, that's how passionate you are about that, huh?
Yeah, because I think that it will save us in the long run. That it will provide a variety for all levels of bankrolls.
I like it. I like the thought. All
Hmm.
right, I like to do a little thing called rapid fire here in my space. I'm going to
Ooh,
give you two choices. You have to pick one, or you can pass. That's fine. Um, Wine or beer?
beer.
Text or talk?
Talk.
49ers or Raiders?
Oh shit, girl! I
Huh?
wear my Niner jacket over my Raider jersey.
So
That's
she is
not fair.
confused. She is confused.
No,
But
I'm a
we're
Bay Area girl. I was raised there.
I know. That's why I brought it up. I wanted you to have to be put on the spot about that. Do the dishes or do the cooking?
Cooking.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Thank you for playing. And I see we are joined by Matt, who is over in the UK. So welcome, Matt. And do you have any questions or comments for Lupe?
Thank you for the welcome, Sherry, and hello to the fellow listeners and to you, Lupe. Lovely to talk to you. How are you doing over there? Hope you're keeping well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm enjoying our very cool weather for the first time since 110 degrees decided to go away.
Oh wow, you get some good weather over there. We've had a mixed bag over here. It's been sunny at one point and it's been absolutely freezing cold the next. But other than that, it's not been too bad at all.
I've
Typical
not
UK
I've
weather.
not been able to enjoy it yet. I've never been to London or to England.
Well, that's actually good for me for my question I was going to ask you. Now you've had some really good tournaments, and I've been enjoying watching them as a as a poker fan. And it's great to see so many women playing poker nowadays, and there should be more of them. I was going to ask you, have you ever thought about hosting any of the tournaments over here, maybe one day in the future?
We've had many conversations over the last 20 years. It's never come to fruition for whatever reason. But I am very supportive of the women's winter festival that's coming up
At the
in
Hippodrome.
London at the Hippodrome. And I am doing some things over here that will hopefully help qualify women to go over there. So if I ever make it there, I think it will probably either be through the Hippodrome space or with Tower and his people over there. I think it's just a matter of relationships. And if it's taken 20 years to create those relationships, I'm okay with that.
That sounds like a really good plan. I hope you actually do bring it over here because it'd be nice to maybe see those tournaments maybe live. In fact, speaking of live, um, would you be considering maybe televising them maybe over here? Because we don't get much
Um,
talking.
I know that Towers people do that.
Right.
And we're talking. Let's just put it that way.
And would you allow UK broadcasters to broadcast it? Because when the not WPT, the Caribbean Poker Tour was on, that was on Channel 4 over here. So would you be maybe having a talk with UK broadcasters?
I would love to. I mean, I think anytime you put women on television, the ratings are far exceed open poker viewing.
Open fields.
Yes, it does. I mean, the world likes to watch women play poker. It's so great.
Love it. Okay, Donna, go ahead.
Lupe, talking of Tower, what do you think to him? I mean, he's a very good friend of mine. I call him all sorts. So you just say what you think about Tower.
I adore him. He is so much fun. I kind of feel like Tower's like the Mike Sexton of the United States, but there. He's so much fun, and I think he's a great ambassador for the game over there. And he's approachable, and he's knowledgeable, and he's fun to be with, and he's a good sport, and that's rare. You know, he let us. He let the girls put a pink boa around his neck and travel through the streets, and
Yes, I
that's
was
freaking
there.
right.
Yeah, he's a bloody nightmare at times. You've got to keep him on a leash, seriously, because you think me and Sherry's bad, but Tower on his own. If you leave Tower alone to his own devices, then God help you. You need to seriously keep him on a leash. But I love him to bits. He is an amazing man.
Yes. I did not, like I said, I've never been over there, so I didn't get to enjoy that. And I wasn't in Malta the trip that he was there. And I did get to see him here in during the summer, and he joined us on our podcast, which is the Real Poker Girls of Las Vegas. And so that was my first time ever meeting him. I didn't even know he was going to be our guest. There was this guy in the lobby. I thought he was one of the assistants to the guy who runs the podcast booth. And so I didn't even really like acknowledge him or anything. And I was just like, hey, what's up? Kind of, we got to talking. And then the next thing I know, he's our freaking guest, and I didn't know him.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah,
I
it
love
was
that so
hilarious.
much.
It
Matt,
was,
did you have any other questions or comments, Matt?
Actually, to be fair, some of the questions I was going to ask, you've actually answered some of them
Perfect.
already, so that is
Perfect.
fantastic. So,
Well, I'm glad you could
unfortunately,
join us, Matt. It's always a pleasure, sir. Glad you could join us. ASG, do you have any other questions or comments for Lupe?
No, I think you covered it with a lot. It would be nice the next time I'm at a Borgata series if the ladies event makes the stream, because they only have a few streams during their series, but it would be nice if they add that as one of them. But yeah, that's all.
Well, that's a great suggestion.
it certainly is, and I happen to know those people. I might have to suggest that.
Love it. Thanks, ASG. Rick O'Connell, you got any other questions or comments?
No, I think
Rick,
it's
Rick, when
yeah,
did we meet? I'm trying to remember.
at Cherokee. You came out and did a tournament at Cherokee in the early days. I remember when you started.
Yeah.
There was not only that, there was somebody who tried to start a competing tournament thing against you. Do you remember those days back then?
Honey, you know how many have come and gone? I can't even
Yeah,
count.
absolutely. And you're the survivor, which thank God for that, because you really put together a great product. But I just want to, I'm just glad that Sherry got you on there, because you do such wonderful, wonderful work in many ways. And I'm glad you're still going at it.
Oh, thank you.
And I remember we had a lot of fun back those. It was at Cherokee, because I think we hosted one of your early tournaments there when I was the director of poker and table games.
That's got to be it. Okay.
Yeah, because we had Linda and Jan come out and do a seminar, things like that. Kathy Liebert came out and did a seminar, and
God,
I'm almost positive you came out with them and did
yeah.
a tournament, and that was so much fun.
Yes.
And that's when the hotties came out. That our little group of ladies.
The
at
Oklahoma hotties.
Cherokee. You got it. Yep.
I
Yep.
love
That's
those
how
ladies.
they all started. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they started. And boy, it was, they had great support from them.
Absolutely.
So,
Oh, that's
That's
great.
so awesome. That's
yeah,
so awesome.
fun days. So you keep going, lady.
As
You're
long as
young.
God lets me.
He will. I'll talk to him.
I just thought of something. Since you're into the mixed games, I was wondering how you
Take
can
care, my
have
dear.
sorry, didn't realize we were
That's
done.
okay. Go ahead, ASG.
Yeah, since you're into the mixed games, I thought maybe could ask you, pick your brain on how you can have a lower limit mixed game at the casino where you can still beat the rake.
We actually, okay, this is like a private thing, but private to the world right now. Uh we try to negotiate a starter rake with them until, because we will start with a 4-8 game. Now it's hard to beat the rake. So we ask them for a special rake while people are learning the games. We'll ask for like a $2, and this is, I know this is ridiculous, but we ask for a $2 rake for the first 2 hours. Then we move it to a $3 rake, and then the $4 rake. We move it up for however many hours we're going to be there. We wind up getting to regular rake by the end of the night. We also have an 8-16 game that we keep at regular rake. So we feed that 4-8 game into the 8-16 game.
Good question, ASG.
And it's the 8-16 rake or time?
It's rake. It doesn't move to time until it gets to the big game. We have a big game in our room. It's not my room. It's the Resorts World, and that's where most of the mixed games are played right now. The big game, they pay time, but they have a 100, 300, and they have a 1,000, 3,000.
Okay, because here on the East Coast, there's a 10-20 Big O that's limit, and that's I think 5.5, 6.5, but it's time. They pretty much do everything time parks
Actually,
after
yeah,
like 1, 2.
everything over 10:20 is time.
Actually, it's even time for the 6:12 game.
Holy crap. Wow. Okay.
Yikes. Thank
Yeah.
you, ASG. I just want to thank everybody for listening and those that'll be listening on the replay. Donna, do you have any other comments or questions before we let Lupe go?
Yes, I just want to say, Lupe, if you ever get your ass over to London, I will jump in my car and I will come down and meet you finally.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. I am definitely I'm hoping to get there come November. We're still talking and I told him I said, when you're ready, you just pull the trigger and I'll be there. So we'll see. I'm hoping.
Well,
Awesome.
I'll be down in London in November anyway, but I'll make an extra special double trip if you
Ah,
come down too.
I would love it. I would love it. Thank you so much. And I
And
really appreciate this opportunity to be here with you guys today.
Well,
and
we
it's
are glad
been
you're
lovely
here.
to speak to you.
We are glad you're here. As I said, I continue to make my way through spaces to keep it a positive experience for women, a positive experience for men, somewhere we can come and have fun. And I hope that's what we did tonight, as well as learn a little bit more about Lupe and her footprint in the world of poker. Lupe, it's been a pleasure. I'm a big supporter. I try to stay behind the scenes now just because real life is in the way, but I'm still always in that background working, Lupe, and
Well,
congratulations on 20 years.
thank you.
We appreciate you. Glad you stopped by, and we are going to end this space. And if anybody's on the felt tonight or this weekend, good luck. If not, get out and touch the grass, people. Much love. Thank you again, Lupe. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.